Look at all this stuff, guys. It's all going to the nuisance ground. I sold my truck. All I've got left is my van. And it's full of garbage right now. I take it out to the dump. Okay, the nuisance ground run is done. I think we'll go have some breakfast. And then it's off to do the laundry. Fortunately. Gotta be done. Hey guys, check out my new generator. Brand spanking new. I'll have to take it out of here so I can give you a better look at it. But that should supply me with all the power I need. I think it's a 3300 starting, 3000 running pure sine wave generator. So fantastic. What I wanted to do was show you a little bit more of my generator. So it's a 3300 starting and a continuous run of 3000. It's the W3300i by Firman. I haven't even turned it on yet. It hasn't even had a drop of gasoline put in it. So we'll get to use that here in the short while. One more month and I'm into this. I'll be able to get into my van and move in full time. So I made these pillows. For the back here so I can sit. Place for the TV. Let's just see what we got. 12.9. 12.9 volts. We're not bringing any amperage as far as the solar is concerned, which I don't know why. It should even be drawing something right now. Is it because it's still, the sun is still too low that it doesn't I don't quite know. But anyways, I've got to get all the water set up pretty soon. I don't think it's going to freeze anymore, so I can get the pumps going, fill it all up, get it summerized. So right now I put the generator between the two seats, fits perfectly in between there. I guess that's where it's going to sit since I don't have anywhere else to put it. Anyways, we're off to Walmart to do some shopping, and then I'm going to take my drone up and do the tutorial as I promised with the point of interest mission. So we'll go out and fly the mission today, and then we'll do the tutorial on how I did it. Okay, talk to you in a bit. Alright, what I'm going to try is a point of interest. I'll try two of them because there's a few ways to do this, and we'll go through both of them. I'll show you how to do both of them. The only thing is I can't record everything on my tablet because it's just not powerful enough to record the video of how the flight's going, and then do the flight it's on top of that. So I'll use the recording from the drone itself, and then I'll show you a little bit of the tablet. This is the tablet here. I'll show you a little bit about how to set up the point of interest, and then we'll go from there. So what I'll do right now is do some recording on the tablet of how to do the point of interest, how to set it up with Drone Harmony. And then once the flight is done, I'll take it home, we'll edit it, and I'll use the flight from the drone as the backup for the flight instead of from the tablet. Okay, let's head off. Okay, hopefully I got everything all set up. I got the drone set up. I got the tablet here, and now we'll set up some recording on the tablet so we can see what's going on as far as the mission goes, which is a point of interest. My van is going to be the point of interest this time. And let's get started. Okay, this is where I'm going to park my van, in the center of this circular roadway here. And I've got two ways to do a point of interest. One is much better than the other, so we'll do the first one, which is using, let's click on the bottom right corner, the manual setup, the top one there, the manual waypoints, and we'll fly at an altitude of, say, 20 meters. We'll click start, and as you can see, like before, the red triangle is the start point, the green dot is the ending point, the landing, and the one in the center with the two red lines coming out of it is our first waypoint. So let's move the ending or the landing away. Let's move the starting away by dragging and holding down on the four-sided arrow underneath it, and let's drag the first waypoint to a position at the one where I want to start. Now let's drag the where I want to take off from, would be right there, and the endpoint we'll put at the same position, but for now we'll just leave it there. And let's zoom in a little bit more, and we'll make a waypoint between the two here by clicking on the yellow line, hitting the plus sign, and click on it again, and that would be waypoint number 1. The other one is waypoint number 2. Okay, the plus sign between waypoint number 2 and the green dot. Click on there, click it again, drag, and I'm trying to basically make a circle around this rounded drive area here, circular. I'm just clicking on the yellow line between the endpoint and the last waypoint I just set up. I'm not paying any particular attention to the direction that the gimbal or the camera is facing, because that'll all come into play a little later on here. I'm just adding waypoints, and it's, as circular as I'm going to get it. I can refine it even more by adding more waypoints to make it really circular, or a square, or whatever I like, but I like to have it somewhat circular. And we'll make one more, and we'll put that right sort of above the starting point, and now we'll drag in the end position and put it right on top. Okay, the little black triangles that I have in all the waypoints represents the camera pointing in that direction. You can see they're all pointing north with 20 in all the circles. That represents the altitude, 20 meters. So to make them all point at a point of interest where I'm going to park my van, I'm going to click on the far right center to turn off all the waypoints, and on the far left, third icon down, is the point of interest, and I'm going to place that in the center of the place where I'm going to park, actually. And we will make it, let's say, purple color, and the meters high will be 0, and we'll press set. Now I'll click on it, plus sign will appear, I'll drag it to the point of it is roughly where I'm going to park my van, right about at that point right there. And I'll click anywhere on the map to unhighlight the point of interest. That's the point of interest at the moment. So far left center, I'll click on there. That brings up all my waypoints. Now to make them all point at that particular point of interest, I'll just click on the point of interest. And as you can see, they've all turned purple. and they're all pointing with the black triangle in all the waypoints are all pointing at that particular centerpiece. Now, if I click on this outside and turn it off, or on the far right hand and turn it off, click on the point of interest and move that. I can move it to wherever I want. Let's say I move it over here to the outside and click on the far right center. Again, you can see that they're all pointed at the point of interest, at the very point of it. So we'll unhighlight all those, click on the point of interest, move it back to the center, the very point, not the larger end, but the very point of it is where I'm going to roughly park, maybe right there. And far right center again, click on that. All my waypoints are there, showing they're going to be pointing at the... Now, if I click on the bottom left hand, the cube, this represents my flight path. If I drag the little icon in the bottom, you can see the little yellow square moving up to the first. No cameras on yet. When it gets to the first waypoint, the camera comes on, and you can see the red line pointing to the center point of the point of interest. And as I go around, the camera turns, pointing continuously at that center point. And once it hits the last waypoint, it comes down and I can land. Okay, that is, in a nutshell, the point of interest. And let's fire it up and see what we have. Now, it's asking me for what my speed wants to be, and we'll leave it at about 6.1 kilometers per hour, and we'll do a video, and we'll go for the autofocus, and we'll leave it like that. Auto land at end of mission. And we'll go from there. This is what the 3D looks like. Don't set it on sport mode. Okay, I'll have to back out of the other video right now.
Can you feel me breathing?
Now what I'm going to do is second icon from the top on the far left. If I click on that and click anywhere within that circle, you can see we'll make it also purple, and the height of that circle is going to be 0. We'll click set, and if I click within the circle, a plus sign appears, or a four-headed arrow appears in the center. I can move that to roughly where I'm going to park my van, circular. The bottom icon with the 2 arrows in it represent how big I want the circle. If I drag, you can see I can make it larger, smaller, whatever size I want. I'll drag it to roughly about that point, move it over so that it's more centered. And now I click anywhere outside that circle on the map, and it tells me it's 0 meters. And if I go with the cube on the bottom left, I can see that there I have my circle 0 meters high. Okay, back up. Now, to put waypoints around that I want to use, I'll click on the bottom right, the plus sign, and we will pick on shapes, and we'll use orbit. Now it says set liftoff. I'll zoom in a little bit. I want to set liftoff to in the center of the roadway coming in to that area. So I'll click there. You can see a little drone picture there with an arrow pointing up. That means liftoff position. I'll click next in the box in the top. Now the center, set the center position. Where I'm going to park my van, I'm going to set the center to the center of the circle. I can click and drag. We'll move it more to the center. That's going to be my point of interest center point. Roughly maybe there. And we'll click submit. And this represents, and is showing me on the left hand side, the drone is going to start with the camera on. It's going to go up around the circle and pointing at the point of interest. Now the yellow circle there is too small. I'm going to drag and show you from a top view. It's smaller than I've made the purple circle the size that I want it to rotate around. My orbit radius is 10. We're going to drag that, and I'm going to drag it to the size of the purple circle to begin with, and that's about roughly where I want it. Now let's tilt this, and I can see that my angle takeoff is not the way I want it. And we'll click on start angle and move it over till it's like almost straight up. And as you can see, I'm taking off from just outside the purple circle, angling upwards, and then around in a clockwise direction around the point of interest. And at the bottom there, you can see rotation is clockwise. I can change that to counterclockwise, whatever I want to there. Now let's click on generate at the bottom. We'll zoom out a little bit on the far right center. Let's click on orbit. Now you can see all the waypoints that are in a nice clean circle. And I can see that I forgot to tell it how high I want this to be, and it's 10 meters. Let's make it 15. So if I want to work with all of them, what I need to do is grab the lasso on the top left icon, and then drag a circle around the waypoints. Now they're all highlighted, which means I'm working with them all. Let's click on the pencil. Let's go for update altitude. As you can see, the current max is 10, and I want to add a few more to that, and we'll add another 7, so make it 17 in total. So we'll update, click anywhere outside, just on the map itself, and as you can see, 10 plus the 7 I put on there is now 17, so it's 17 meters high. Click on bottom left cube, and it brings up a representation of what I've just built. Now if I drag across the bottom, you can see that the drone goes up, turns the camera on when it gets to this point, and it's centered out somewhere instead of at the point of interest. Now that the camera has made it to the top, it's pointing to my central point of interest all the way around until it comes back down and lands. And oh yes, I did forget something. That's not quite right. As you can see here, the point of interest is not the center of the purple circle. I misled you there. So let's click out, back up. I need a point of interest here. So what I'll do is click on the far right on the orbit, unhighlight that. Now I'll click third icon from the top left, point of interest. I'll click in the center of the circle. We'll make this one red. We'll tell it to be 0 and set. And if I click on it, plus sign, I can drag it to where I'm going to park my van. Point of interest. We'll click on the map anywhere outside the circle. Click on the orbit. Now, if I click on the red point of interest, all the waypoints on the outside are white. Let's click on the red point of interest. You will see that they all turned red, and they're all pointing at the point of interest. Now the camera will be pointing at that. Let's click the cube on the bottom left. Rotate this a little bit so we can see what's happening. Now when I drag along the bottom, you can see the very first white waypoint there, white dot. The camera is pointing directly at the point of interest. I get to the top, still pointing there all the way around. Beautiful. Pointing right at the point of interest, and then back down for a landing. Okay, back up. Now let's have a look at this. The reason the point of interests are red, because, the waypoints are red, is because my point of interest is red. As you can see, there's my circle, there's the waypoints, and there's the video. Turn the video on. Get it started.
You know my heart.
Fold everything up. Put the top on the gimbal. I got this new gimbal cover, which is supposed to lock in the gimbal and cover the camera. It does work a lot better. Anyways, that goes in the box. And the remote. That's the tablet. Wire for the tablet. Wire for the remote. It all folds up nice and neat. And I've still got 100% power on the remote because I was using my charger here. I'll put a link in the description for how to get to Drone Harmony and where to download it. So you guys can go there and have a look at, see what they offer. It's a free app. I'm using it with the Mavic Pro at the moment, which works fantastic. I'm not sure whether it works for all drones, and I think they're trying to come out with some improvements so that they do work on all the drones. Fantastic app. Works perfectly. Maybe in the future I'll give you some links about where to get this, all this stuff I'm using, all the hardware, because it works perfectly, and it's important that you get everything that works correctly with it. Okay, back to the house.